people have said to me for a while, you must record your Monteverdi Vespers, but there's so much other interesting music out there. Goodness, didn't we all look young, you're thinking. I have very happy memories of those recording sessions, colleagues that I've worked with for so many years since, and two main pieces on the recording. Gabrieli's 7-choir Magnificat, only 2 of the original choirs existing, Hugh Keats' imagination and encyclopedic understanding of that repertoire, recreating the others, and the Vespers by Lodovico Viadana. This is just 2 years after what is now the famous Monteverdi Vespers, but in some ways the Viadana Vespers is a more modern one for a more regular grouping of soloists and accompanying choirs and instruments. So have a listen. We'll jump you back to 2011 now and enjoy.
The thing about Gabrieli isn't so much the individual parts, it's the collection of them and the smaller things that then all come together in this extraordinary kind of luxuriant sound, and that is definitely, he's got that spot on, I think.
So we started talking, Hugh Keat and I, about Magnificats, and I know a lovely 3-choir Magnificat by Gabrieli that I'd done, but it's been recorded, and Hugh said, well, there is a Magnificat for 20 and 28 voices that no one's ever done because only 8 of those 28 parts still exist, because music was printed not in full score but in part books, and only part books for 8 of those parts exist.
Power returns.
I talked about the Gabrieli Magnificat, which I'd started doing 15 years before, given up, discouraged, nobody wanted to do it, I couldn't think it could be completed. And he just encouraged me to do it, and when I got discouraged writing it, he just wouldn't let me stop.
Hugh says that as if it's easy, but that little bit, bom 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 bom, that's all there is, out of which you extrapolate all this, feeding into it, because that's clearly the very last thing to be sung in a little echo passage.
And to hear all around one, a complete new creation that sounds, absolutely true to me.
There's so much fantastic music making going on in Venice, in Germany, in Vienna, and so much, it was on a really grand scale.
The slightly contentious thing that you've done, which I find imaginative but right, is this fanfare in the middle. Tell us why you've put that in.
Well, it gradually became obvious to me in the 15 years I've been sort of peering at this that the whole thing was very angry, and all the belligerent warlike things in the Magnificat text are being emphasised enormously. And to me, they get more and more gleeful. They're actually doing that.
So on top of this,
our forefathers.
On top of this, at the full setting of those words, si quid locutus est, yes, you have this very brass-like. A couple of years back, I did a BBC radio programme looking at multi-choir music, Italian polychoral music from the late 16th, early 17th century. I heard afterwards from Hugh Keat, and he said there was only one thing that I didn't quite get right. That in fact, Gabrieli's motet In Ecclesiis, which is for 4 solo voices, a chorus, and 6 obbligato, 6 separate instrumental groups, was in fact only a short score. It was a reduced version published after Gabrieli's death in 1615. So I encouraged Hugh to do a larger version for us, which is what we're going to be recording today. So instead of those rather empty bits when 2 solo voices call across to each other, you now have 2 banks of choirs and instruments singing across to each other, which just instinctively feels more right. The new boy on this disc is Lodovico Viadana, a contemporary Monteverdi's. They both worked at Mantua, and in 1612, the year of Gabrieli's death, he published a large-scale collection of Vespers psalms. The unusual thing about this collection, when you look at it, first of all, you think that's for 4 choirs. Well, that's quite grand. But when you look rather more closely, you see that the top choir is a choir of 5 soloists. The second choir is a chorus. The third and fourth choirs are complementary choirs. But the really revolutionary thing is the way that he's writing for soloists answered by choir, in the way that, you think of Mozart writing a piano concerto, it's a dialogue between the two of them. Think of Monteverdi's Vespers. He doesn't do it in the same way. Monteverdi's fabulous 1610 Vespers from just 2 years before this, he integrates the two. Whereas in this, it's a constant conversation, and we're finding it to be very hyper-expressive music, really interested in the individual detail of the words. The thing that obsesses me is line. It's that beginning a phrase, taking it through the middle so that the end of it is inevitable. If you just hear a series of chords, which is very tempting in music this grand and big, just to listen to the noise it makes, chords, schmords, who cares? It's the line through it. If you listen to a pianist playing Chopin, it's the way he gets through to the end of a phrase. It's his shaping, his turning of the phrase that's interesting. Imagine a man walking and then a film of the same speed of a man running in slow motion. They're going at the same distance, but you can clearly tell that the man in slow motion is off the ground and he has a wider span to his movement. And that's what we need. It's that span of movement.